Hey there, happy Sunday. Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with this week's stocks to watch for trading and investing. Coming at you with the full pro member video, which is typically just for the pro members. Decided to send it out to everyone this week. Normally, I have a blog, free blog, with a breakdown of all the different sectors and indexes and what to look for. I got to tell you, this week going through all that stuff, really there are a ton of sectors out there and indexes that are innocent until proven guilty. Uh, I think one of the things we definitely want to keep a close eye on is the dollar. We had the dollar pulling back last week, and I think that was part of the reason why the markets caught a bit of a boost. But we've got some fantastic looking technical setups out there. Really impressed with the semiconductors and the way they bounced. But IBB is looking good. Uh, the IWM is looking good. Several sectors out there that are looking strong. You know, if the dollar continues to decline, maybe you see some more materials which have been beaten up pretty good. See some rebound there. It's sector that's worth keeping an eye on, maybe for a bounce. Gold caught a bit of a bounce on Friday, and the miners caught a little bit of a bounce, and maybe that for a trade, for a short-term trade, those are some sectors to keep an eye on. Everybody seems to be inclined to want to call a top in the markets. And as I said, things just appear to be really, really strong out there. And everything is innocent until proven guilty. So it doesn't mean that it won't be choppy or slow trading out there. But right now, volatility is low. Um, and the indexes look, a lot of the indexes and sectors look incredibly strong. So let me start out with the earnings whispers, earnings for next week. There are some that are of interest to me. Bilibili, which reports Monday after the close, that one is of interest to me. Let's see, we've got Box, which reports Tuesday after the close. I think that one is worth keeping an eye on. Salesforce.com, always one to keep an eye on, which reports Wednesday after the close. And then Yext, Y-E-X-T, which has had an amazing run. That is another one that I'll be pretty focused on in the upcoming week. And then we've got a bunch of retail names that are reporting, so it could be some interesting action there. Retail actually pulled back a little bit, but has had an amazing run. So could be we're wrapping up on earnings season, but there are still some names out there that I think could have some influence in some indexes and definitely worth keeping an eye on. So let's go ahead and jump into the stocks to watch for next week. And I want to talk about something real quick. It was funny. I was listening to, I can't remember who it was, but I was listening to one of these traders out there and talking about how, there's pretty much short bias trader and likes to focus on stocks under $5 because stocks under $5 are pretty much scam stocks. And I thought that was a really interesting comment. I often get people asking me, how come I focus so much on low dollar stocks? And, it's not that I don't own high dollar stocks in my long term hold portfolio. They're just typically thicker stocks that I'm more interested in owning as opposed to trying to trade, right? So I have some of the high dollar stocks like Gilead and Bristol Myers Squibb and MGM and things like that I hold in my long term portfolio. And then there are low price stocks that I like to do some homework on, to buy them when nobody else likes them. And those are the stocks that at some point, you only need one or two a year where you build a nice position in a low price stock that is has a bright future but going through growing pains. You only need one or two of those a year to have a really nice move, and it can make your whole year for trading. So I like to look at some of the low price stocks. If you look at Nvidia, go back to the beginning of that one, it was under $5 at one time. You look at Netflix, go back on that one, it was under $5 at one time. Apple was under $5 at one time. Uh, those are not scam stocks, right? Those are huge, huge winners over the years, and it's something that you need to think about when you're trading and investing, right? What is a low price stock doesn't mean that it's a scam stock. It doesn't mean that. Are there a lot of scam stocks that are out there that are under $5? Sure. Are there scam stocks that are in the hundreds of dollars? Probably. We just don't know it yet. So just keep it in mind. Everything is relative. So I just wanted to share that little thought. All right, let's start out with this UUU. So UUU, uranium play. I talked about materials. If the dollar continues to weaken, maybe we see materials and some metals plays start to move higher. If the dollar, bounces and shows some strength, then we might see some weakness in the material sector. And materials have not been a great sector, but UUU consolidating right over the 20-day moving average, right over the $3 hour. I think close to $3, 275 on a pullback to the 50-day could be interesting for a swing play. They've got about $55 million in cash. And uranium prices, there's a whole tariff thing going on with uraniums. You get a positive blurb there, and you could see a spike in uranium. You see a spike in uranium, you're likely going to see a spike in UUUU, which has a pretty nice looking technical setup on the daily time frame. Like I said, ideal entry for me, pull back to 275. You got some 275, 260, somewhere in that area. You've got some potential price support there. You've got moving average support. Could be an interesting spot to take it for a little swing. And then we're looking to go back up and test that $3.50 area, which has been acting as resistance. So worth keeping an eye on UUU, maybe for a swing trade. Look, if it takes out 350 on big volume, then you could potentially find a day trading opportunity using 350 as your potential area of support, 350 to 340, right? So worth keeping an eye on UUUU for either a day trade or a swing trade opportunity. VJet. VJet had a big pop on Friday. I looked to see what the news was. I didn't see anything. Nice pop, closed over the 200-day moving average, broke over this longer-term trend line, coming up into potential price resistance right around 450, 460, somewhere in that area. I'm looking at VJet really as just a day trading opportunity. It's got a fairly small float in it. DDD has had a big move. Maybe there was an analyst report on this thing. Maybe that's why it popped. I'm not exactly sure why VJet popped, but could look for a pullback to say 390, 385, somewhere in that area. What was acting as resistance, look for that to act as support for a potential bounce. Little red to green action. Maybe it doesn't pull all the way back to there. Maybe it just pulls back to the $4 holla, which is where you've got the 200-day moving average. And like I said, I'm really just looking for a day trading opportunity in that one. Maybe keep some lottos for a high-risk swing if you can bank some on the day trade. But worth keeping an eye on. It had some volume increase on Friday. Stochastics curling up. MACD histo curling up. Interesting look on VJet. Worth keeping an eye on for either for a day trading opportunity. REED. So this is a soft drink. Now there's been some insider buying here. 400,000 shares, $2.49. Earlier had bought 199,000 shares at $2.98, and this just broke over the $3 holla. Now I will say this is the third day of the move. And it can be a pop and flopper, right? So you see these couple of pops, and then it pulled back, closed towards the low of the day. But on Friday, we wound up closing at the high of the day. So kind of interesting action. Now, this might need to take a breather. Maybe we look for it to pull back into the 275, 250 area. Maybe see if we can get a little bounce trade off of that. Day trading opportunity. It's only got 18 million shares in the float. Could be a swing, a higher risk swing on a pullback into the 250 area. That could be an ideal entry. Looking to go back up and retest that $3 and change. But let me back this out to the weekly time frame and take a look at it real quick here. $3 is a pretty big spot to get through, and then we've got some potential price resistance up here. See all this price resistance right here? This congestion, and we've got a 200-week moving average at around $3.90. So maybe a red to green. Could be a day trading opportunity. Like I said, if you get some continued volume, could be a higher risk swing if you get a pullback to support and you get an entry in that area. But definitely worth keeping an eye on this small floater for a trading opportunity, quick trading opportunity. PVG, another metal mineral name. Let's see, I'm not sure what the float is on this one, but flirting with the $9 holla. You got the 50-day, which is sloping up and possibly getting ready to cross above the 200-day. You get a golden cross there. This could be maybe an interesting swing on a pullback to say $8.50 or so. Just look at that for potential entry, and then maybe put your stop just below $8. Looking for this to go up and test $9.50. Maybe take that out and get a $10 holla on PVG. Let me back this out to the weekly real quick and take a look at that and see where we've got. Yeah, so $10 is probably going to act as some resistance. So definitely looking for some type of a red to green play here, a pullback into, even the 8.25 or $8 area could be an interesting spot to take that if you're looking to take it for a swing. It does have a gap to fill on the daily up into about the 10.50 area. It's worth keeping an eye on this one. Let me take a look and see real quick what the float is on PVG. I don't know what the float is. It doesn't say. Let's see. Well, how about shares outstanding? And don't have that information either. So I don't like having not having that information. Probably go look at the latest 10K and take a look at that and figure it out. But look, if the dollar continues to pull back and materials get a pop, this could be one that you look to play. IDRA. So this is not a great looking setup. Technically, you got the 50-day below the 200-day. You're below the 50-day, but actually trying to cross the 50-day. 18.9 million shares in the float. Recent reverse split. So we've got a small float here. Maybe a day trading opportunity with some good volume. It is a biotech name, right? You're likely going to have some resistance somewhere around this 10.50. $10.50, $10 area. Just looking for a potential day trade opportunity if I happen to catch that right. Pull back to say 860, 870, maybe even 880. See if that holds as support for a little bounce trade there. Looking for a trend line break and a test up into that 100 EMA around $11. Just the day trading opportunity on IDRA. CDMO, another biotech name. Actually traded decent volume on Friday, 671,000 shares. Just took out the $6 holla. All right. And let me back this out to the weekly here. It's got 55 million shares in the float. We are at an area of potential price resistance at $7 on the weekly time frame. It's got the golden cross. The 50-day just crossed over the 200-day. Likely going to have some resistance there at $7. Maybe a red to green, right? Pull back to 590 or so, and then see if you get a bounce up into the $7 area. Day trading opportunity there. PPDF. All right, so I've got a few China names that have some news events or conferences next week that could be interesting to at least keep an eye on. Let me see what this PPDF has for a float. I think it's actually not that thin. PPDF. All right, I don't know what the float is, but 300 million shares outstanding. It already has actually had a pretty nice run. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's been up 5 days in a row, coming up into the $6 holler, coming up into potential price resistance, just starting to pierce that upper Bollinger Band. This might have some news and get a gap, but I wouldn't chase this thing, right? Because of the fact that it's really already gone from $4 to $6 in a very short period of time. So worth keeping an eye on it because it is trying to break this long-term trend line or longer-term trend line. Could be a day trading opportunity there if you can catch an intraday setup. It does have a little kind of a cup formation going on here. Maybe you look for the handle if you're looking to maybe take this as a higher risk swing. But PPDF could be interesting next week for a day trading opportunity. Do not chase any kind of a gap though, because it already has had a pretty nice move. RIBT, packaged foods, some of the names out there have been looking pretty darn good, and RIBT is one of them. It's had some insider buying in the 250 range. CFO picked up some shares at $2.53. Love seeing the CFO picking up shares, but had a little volume spike and broke over price resistance, closed over to the $3 holla on Friday. Maybe look for a red to green here, pull back into the 290, 280 area, and then look for some follow through of this breakout over $3. But I like the look of RIBT quite a bit. I mean, it had a nice big pop on a bunch of volume, some pretty good volume, nice run, and then pulled back on lower volume. And now here we are back testing up that area that we had the run into, the $3 holla. So worth keeping an eye on that. And I actually, it's only got 13 million shares in the float, but I kind of like RIBT for more of a swing than I do for a day trading opportunity. Not to say that there couldn't be a day trading opportunity in it though. GNMK, potential flat top breakout. It's been in consolidation mode for a while. We do have the 50-day, which crossed over the 200-day. It actually pulled back, and this would have been a nice place to get it right here, about $6. Pulled back, tested that 200-day, and bounced right off of it. And now it's consolidating just below this area of potential price resistance. Looking for it to take that out, get an 8 test and roll. I think potentially you get up into the $8.89 area where you find some resistance, and then maybe you get, if you can take that out, maybe you go up and test the $10 holla. But GNMK has a pretty interesting look, and it's only got 35.7 million shares in the float, traded 500,000, almost 600,000 shares on Friday. So kind of looking for a red to green on this one too. Pull back to 740, 750. Maybe take it there, look for a bounce, see if we can take out those highs and get a test up over $8. MSON, small float, tiny float, 7.6 million shares in the float. Only traded 74,000 shares on Friday. A very small float. I think these guys had news. Maybe they didn't have that. I thought they had news on Friday, but they didn't. I just like the setup on this. This thing is flagging out, and I think this is all-time highs. It is. It has taken out all-time highs, which were back around $15, and it's consolidating really nicely. This could be an higher risk swing because of that small float. But you got stochastics, which are starting to curl up. You got MACD Histo, which looks like it's about to curl up. Look, you don't have to take a bunch of shares in this. You take 100 shares if you're interested in the name, And if this thing goes up $10 to $28, that's a nice little return, right? So, uh, not saying that it's going to go to $28. I'm just saying right now it's in blue skies. We don't have any resistance overhead, and it has a great looking formation on the daily chart. So it never seems to trade a whole lot of volume, but maybe when this gets some attention, breaks out of this formation, continues to break out, maybe we get some nice volume in the name. But worth keeping an eye on MSON for continuation of this breakout of this little pattern here. TRXC. A lot of day traders have this on their radar, and has a pretty nice looking setup. MACD Histo just went positive. Trades good volume. Now this is not a thin stock. It's got 182 million shares in the float. And looking for this to take out this trend line. Actually, it kind of already did take out the trend line. Looking for some potential follow through. I think, on a pullback to 480, $5, somewhere in that area could be an interesting spot to take it for a swing, potentially higher risk swing because of the fact that it is a biotech name. But I like the way the stock has been acting. Now it's been grinding higher. It is consolidating a little bit here right at $5. Let's see if maybe we can take this trend line out, take out 550 with some authority, maybe get a nice pop up into the 650 area or so. NEPT. So last week on the stocks to watch list, I had taken Crone as a short-term swing at about $6.50. I actually sold out the last of it Friday after market close. I had a limit sell of 1050, and that filled after the market close on Friday. But another name that I took in the space, the cannabis space is very hot right now. I took this NEPT as well. I've already scaled out some, and looking to scale out some more right around $4 or so. But looking for some potential follow through in NEPT. Looks like some accumulation going on. These guys have a big contract with CGC, which has been on fire. And looking for some potential follow through on NEPT. And then, look, if NEPT pulls back into the $2.75, $3 area, so $2.75, $3 area, I could look to jump back in. It seems to be finding support in that 265, 270 area, and then bouncing up and testing it over a little over 3, and then pulling back. So that's kind of the channel that this has been trading in, and I would be looking to jump back in it again on a pullback into the 270 area, 270, 265, somewhere in that area, for a swing. ATVI, long-term hold, and one that I want to own and that I do not have a position in yet. Actually, probably should have taken it when it was hanging out here just below the 200-day moving average. I view this as a long-term hold play. It's got an amazing looking long-term chart, but that doesn't mean that we can't pull back. But, we're going to be coming up into the holiday season. They're going to have, what is it? Call of Duty Black Ops, I think, is going to be a big seller for them. I just like this whole space. I think the gaming space is one that you buy and hold it for your long-term portfolio. Broke out over this trend line, testing the 50-day moving average, testing the $74 holla. Pull back to $72 or somewhere in that area. I think I'd probably start to nibble. If it broke down to $68, I would probably look to add. If it broke down to $65, I probably would look to add again. So long-term hold, different philosophy. Willing to be patient. I think 5 years from now, ATVI is going to be much higher than where it is today. I don't think gaming trend is going to end. FireEye. So look, FireEye, I have a small piece left of a long-term hold position that I've had in this name. But cybersecurity names got a nice little pop last week. Looking for them to get some potential follow through. Now, one thing I will say about FireEye did have a nice pop here on good volume, but it also has the death cross, right? So got the 50 that just crossed below the 200 day. Probably could look for an opportunity to day trade this or take a short term swing. Maybe come back up and test the 1750 area. Could be heading there. Look for a red to green type move on it. And then I probably would look to lock it and get out, and then maybe look for another pullback into an area of price support somewhere in the $14 range. Uh, I mean, FireEye could continue to go. Like I said, I have a small piece of a long term hold position that I'm just going to hold, um, but I might be looking to take some kind of a short term swing or day trading opportunity in FireEye. Now it's got 187 million shares in the float. It's not exactly a thin stock, right? But worth keeping an eye on. ARC, great looking setup on the daily here. Came across it Friday, 33.7 million shares in the float. Great looking pattern. And you've got the 50, which is crossing the 200 day moving average. You got a golden cross in the works. Now it's been consolidating for a little while here. It's holding on to the 20 day. Maybe you look to take it here and you put a stop. Or look, depending on you got to do a little due diligence on the company. But if it's a story that you happen to like, maybe what you look for is you take a starter here, and then if it pulls back into the 250, 235 area, 240 area, you look to add to a long-term hold as a potential day trade or short-term swing, looking for a potential gap fill up into the $4.28 area. Let's call it $4, right? Take some off there. Nice round number. But keeping an eye on this one for a breakout. Traded 416,000 shares on Friday. Pretty decent volume. Entry close to $3 for a swing, I think is worth keeping an eye on. I like the setup on it. We'll see what it does next week. And then if it breaks out over this trend line over 325 with volume, could be a day trading opportunity in ARC as well. Let's see what else we've got going on here. JT. This is another one of those China names that has an event this week. It's in a downtrend. It's below the 50-day. Not a great looking technical setup. It did have a little bit of a pop, and it's consolidating just below the $5 holla. It only traded 75,000 shares on Friday. Maybe look for this to take out $5. It's got 120 million shares in the float, so it's not super thin. You've got resistance there at $5. If you can take that out, maybe you get a test up into the 625 area or so, up into that trend line, and then maybe finds resistance and pulls back down, goes down and make a new lower low. Just looking for a quick trading opportunity in there, and I would not chase any kind of a gap up, right? Look for a good clean intraday setup, possible day trade, worth keeping an eye on. WAIR, industrial distribution, 54.6 million shares in the float. This 1225 area could act as an area of potential price support. You got the 50-day there. Looking for this to take out, go back up and test this $14 area. Let me back this out to the weekly and take a look and see where we're at here. All right, so we're just above the 200-week moving average. That's another thing that I kind of like about this chart. And if we let's draw out this longer-term trend line here. We actually just broke over this longer-term trend line. Now we're at some price resistance, potential price resistance 13.50. You take that out, I think maybe you get a test up into the $16 area. This is probably more of a swing type trade for me anyway. Um, pull back into the 12.25, $12 area, I think could be an interesting spot to take it for a starter. And if we break over, like I said, if we break over, oops. Break over this trend line with any kind of authority. I think we get a test up into the 14.50, and like I said, up maybe into the 15.75, $16 area. So probably more of a swing for me, and would like to get it on a pullback to potential support somewhere around the 50-day, 12.50, $12, somewhere in that area. But I like the setup on the daily. ENT, been watching this one for quite a while. Haven't taken a position in it. Looking for a potential break over $3 with some authority. There's been some insider buying. If it pulls back to the 200-day moving average at around $2, I'm likely going to take a position more as a long-term hold play. It seems like the $2 area has been holding up fairly well as support. 51 million shares in the float. I just like the way that it's been holding up. I like the fact that we've got the 50, which crossed above the 200-day. We've got a golden cross. A lot to like about this chart. Higher risk, right? It's kind of like a go-go play. It's a competitor, I think, to go-go. But ENT, they have a lot of debt. New CEO. They're working on turning this story around. And I think it becomes very compelling on a pullback into the 225, $2 area. And then if it breaks over $3 with some volume, could be a day trading scalp opportunity there. All right, I got to get moving because I've got quite a few more names here. And let's see. Ruby, insider buying. CEO purchased 100,000 shares, $3.42 in August. It's got a nice looking setup on the daily. Nice flag pattern, just over the $4 holla. Looking for it to take out 410 with conviction. If it pulls back, this could be a swing or a day trade, potentially with some volume. A pullback into the 360 to 350 area, I'm looking to take it for a swing. A break over 410 with volume, could look to take it for a day trade or a short-term swing. See if we get any, maybe a 2 or 3 day run on Ruby. But Ruby's looking pretty darn good. Basically it's just filled the gap, right? Just filled the gap on the daily, and it's consolidating just above that. Looking for potential follow through in Ruby. I like the daily setup. DL, $8.80, $9, big spot for DL. They also have an event this week. This has got, I think, 12 million shares in the float. Very tiny float. China name. Looking for a break over $9 for a potential day trading opportunity. It only traded 11,000 shares on Friday. Super, super thin. But like I said, they have an event this week. Could be a catalyst for the stock. You don't want to chase it if it gaps, but maybe you look for an intraday setup if there's some real volume there, right? If it doesn't get any volume, then you just avoid the thing. QTNT, been watching this one consolidate for a while. Still like the way it's been holding up. Basically pulled back and filled this gap. It's been holding in this area. Looking for it to finally break over this trend line with some volume and go back up and test that $9 area. 32 million shares in the float. Looking for some volume on this one, but it looks like $7 is holding as support. So could be a higher risk swing on a pullback to 725, $7, right? Take it as a potential swing. and then look for this eventual breakout over the 50-day. Insider buy 645 by 10% owner. I like the way it's been holding up. Might need more time, but eventually I think it does go back up and test that 9 area. CC, another one that I've been watching consolidate right on top of this 8 EMA. 825 or so seems to be holding as support. Looking for a trend line break. This only traded 85,000 shares on Friday. Only 26 million shares in the float. Looking for it to take this trend line out with authority and go up and test $9. Maybe take $9 out. Insider buys. Let me see. Those were a while ago. Just like this one for a potential day trade with volume on a break over that trend line. XNet, another China name that has an event this week. Not a great looking chart. You got the death cross, 50-day below the 200-day. Maybe a day trading opportunity here on a break over the 20-day. Looking for it to go up and test somewhere in the $11 holler area, right? Day trading opportunity. Let me see. I thought I put the float. This got 30 million shares in the float. Looking for, it at least go back up and test that trend line. Let's see what the event presents for this this week. This is a blockchain name as well, so worth keeping an eye on. XNet. NGVC. This is definitely more of a swing or long-term hold consideration. I frankly blew it on this one. I was really paying close attention to it way back here, and where you had really nice tight consolidation. It wound up breaking out, having an amazing run. It's gone from 10 to 20 in a pretty short period of time, and now we're consolidating again. Nice tight candles. Looking for it to take out 1950 with some volume. I think you're going to get a test up into, hold on a second. I think we're going to have some resistance somewhere in the $22, $23 area. But that's a $3 move from where it currently sits. And this is in a beautiful trend on the weekly. It's been consolidating, like I said. If this were to pull back to 1760, 1790 to 1760 area, could be an interesting spot to take it for a swing or long-term hold consideration. The last 2 earnings they reported have been stellar. I really like NGVC. It's only got 4.8 million shares in the float. Traded 200,000 shares on Friday. Now, because of that small float, higher risk, right? So you got to play this size appropriate if you decide to take it as a swing or long-term hold, but definitely worth keeping an eye on NGVC. And if it breaks over 1950 with authority, could be a nice day trading opportunity as well. SMPL, another smaller float, packaged food name, flirting with $18 holla, looking for a break over 18 with volume. Could be a day trading opportunity, could be a swing. PRMW, actually one of the pro members brought this up on Friday. I traded this one a long time ago. I've traded this thing when it was actually much lower. Here's a stock that was it was down in the cents, right? And is now $20 and flirting with, I think, all-time highs. Just make sure. All-time highs, right? So there's a perfect example of a low-price stock that has gone on to become a pretty nice returner, right? Up to $20, consolidating, small float, 24.2 million shares. A pullback to the 20-day, to the $19 area, could be an interesting spot of support for a swing. And then if we get a break over over 2075 with volume, could be a day trading opportunity if you've got some real volume behind it. So small float testing all-time highs and blue skies. Definitely worth keeping an eye on it. I like it more as a pullback play. Even better place for me for a pullback would be down to $18. Come back down, test that 50-day, test this area of price support. That could be a very interesting spot to take it for a swing for a bounce play. ADTN consolidating just below or right on top of the 200-day moving average, testing the $17 holla, looking for a break over 17, a break over the 200-day with volume. Think maybe you get a test up into the 19 and change area. SFS, looking at this one as a long-term hold swing consideration. I like this on a pullback to $6.30 or so, $6. Pullback there, potential price support. Looking to take it for a swing or long-term hold consideration coming up into the holiday season. Grocery stores typically do better coming up into the holidays. So like this one for a long-term hold consideration. We were just looking at, oh, we haven't gotten it yet. I want to see a golden cross in this one, 50 take over the 200-day, but pull back into the $6 area, $5.90 area. I'm likely going to take that as a long-term hold consideration. Start building a position in that area. Their last two earnings were really, really good. And that's it. That is the entire list of stocks to watch for trading and investing next week. Like I said, we've got a lot of sectors out there that look fantastic. And, we've got some headline risk out there with all the stuff that's going on with the Trump administration. But we could get some positive news out of NAFTA. We've got headline risk with China and other stuff going on. But technically, I know everybody wants to call a top, but technically we are looking pretty darn good out there in a lot of sectors and indexes. So hopefully we see some follow through next week. All right, good luck trading out there. Be safe. Always have a plan. Know your risk reward. Hope this was helpful. Hopefully you found a couple of winners in it. And I'll see you all next week.